So, if you were someone that believed that because fall camps were here, recruiting excitement would fall by the wayside, I've got bad news for you. I don't think recruiting excitement is going anywhere. And today, we need to talk about a massive flip that Nick Saban and Alabama just got over the Georgia Bulldogs for one of the best prospects in all of high school football. And of course, we're talking about four-star safety Peyton Woodyard flipping from Georgia to Alabama and why this is big. But before we can dive into all of this, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe the Crimson Tide will continue surging up recruiting boards? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and if you enjoy the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And first and foremost, who is Peyton Woodyard? Well, as I alluded to in the intro, Peyton Woodyard is one of the best high school football players in the nation, regardless of position. If we look at the 24/7 Sports Composite, he comes in as a top 100 player, specifically number 81 in the nation, the number 6 safety, and the number 9 player in the state of California. And one of the things I love about Peyton Woodyard is something we talk about all the time, getting players that play high levels of competition, both in terms of who they practice against and what they see on a week-in, week-out basis. Peyton Woodyard plays for St. John Bosco, meaning he's in the Trinity League out there in California, and Alabama has had a lot of success in that Trinity League because those guys, they play guys that are going to be playing college football on Saturdays. Whether it's on their own team or the teams they face, it's a very talent-rich league out there. So if you're able to get guys that come from talent-rich areas, you like their chances of being able to make the transition from high school to college. And this is a smart defensive back, a safety that excels at doing everything. Whether we're talking about coverage or coming up to stop the run, he is a smart, fast player. And one of the things that's really interesting to me is listening to Peyton Woodyard talk about why he flipped. And one of the things he said was he likes what Nick Saban has done with the defensive back, and how could you not? This is something we talk about time and time again. This is what Nick Saban specializes in. Yes, Saban is known for having elite defenses, but specifically, it's his work with the defensive backs that are so compelling. And for Peyton Woodyard, being able to go and work with a legendary college football coach, that's got to be an enticing offer, but one that's going to be able to specifically work with you. We talk about this all the time. What is your pitch like? And in the terms of Nick Saban pitching to Peyton Woodyard, you have to imagine Nick Saban walking in your living room and saying, hey, not only do I consistently put guys in the NFL, not only do those guys excel, where just a few days ago the top 100 players in the NFL list came out, 12 guys from the Crimson Tide found their way on the top 100 players list. To put that into perspective of how wild that is, in order to get to the next closest, you would have to combine the second place team and the third place team in order to get the same results, which is just insane, the level of production that Alabama has seen in terms of guys going there, succeeding, and then going to the NFL and succeeding there as well. It's been a wild ride for Nick Saban, and if they continue recruiting like this and developing in the way they have, that number is going to continue to grow. Because if you look at what Alabama has done in this 2024 class, it is very impressive. And what's so impressive is it's coming off of a class that was all-time great for the Crimson Tide, that 2023 unit. But if we look, this edition puts Alabama back in the top 5 recruiting classes in the nation. And what's so wild about that is there's only one other class in the top 5 that finds themselves in top 5 range with less than 20 commits. That's Ohio State with 19. Now, the reason why I bring that to your attention is because the Crimson Tide find themselves in the top 5 classes in the nation with 16 commits. So if you're someone that's been thinking Alabama's starting a little slower, Alabama's not having a great recruiting class this year, you've been led astray. Alabama is recruiting at a very high level right now. The average player ranking is incredibly high. The guys they have in this class are very gifted, and I have a feeling it's going to continue. One of the things I've seen a lot, and I've seen people talking about it on social media, is asking the question, should Georgia worry? And look, let's be honest, it's never good when a top 100 player flips from your class. And Georgia has experienced some flips in this class that are a little bit surprising, not only in terms of players that were committed, but players they really felt like they had a great chance at. And now Georgia's in an interesting position because Alabama got Caleb Downs from the state of Georgia last class. Just a few days ago, KJ Bolden left the state of Georgia to go to Florida State, and now Georgia loses a player that was committed to their class, one of the best safeties in the nation, as he flips from Georgia to Alabama. So if I was a Georgia fan, I wouldn't be worried. You still have one of the best recruiting classes in the nation. You still have a class that is filled up to this point with talented prospects, and Kirby Smart and company are going to be able to go out and find a safety they like. They're going to be able to mitigate the loss, but at the end of the day, it is interesting to note the amount of flips that have happened for Georgia and the amount of kids in their own state that have left, which I think leads us into an interesting conversation. Is recruiting your own state overblown? Now, that's something we could dedicate a whole video to. We'll probably talk about it more in a live stream, but it's something to think about because Georgia has had some very talented players leave the state, but they're winning national championships. And so I think it's important to recruit your state, but it falls back onto something I say all the time. College football recruiting has become very national. And so it's not about winning every battle in your state. It's about winning the battles you can't afford to lose. So for Alabama, you get a phenomenal playmaker. Nick Saban continues recruiting at an elite level, and I think the development Alabama has done during the Nick Saban tenure, it's really putting them in a position where the program sells itself. These kids recognize when they watch NFL games and they're like, that guy came from Bama, that guy came from Bama, that guy came from Bama, and then these organizations put out lists ranking the top 100 players in the league. 12 of them come from the Crimson Tide. Alabama, the number one college in the nation, represented in that top 100 list. So it is wild to see the level of development that Alabama has been able to hold on to, and it's helping them get massive recruiting wins like this. Because Peyton Woodyard is a guy that looks to go play football on Sundays. Alabama has been a ticket for so many to be able to do that. I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. What do you think this means for Georgia? What do you think this means for Alabama? Do you believe the Crimson Tide will finish as a top 5 recruiting class? I find it impossible to believe they won't, especially the way they're recruiting right now, where they have so much room left in the class. I mean, there are some classes in the top 5 that have 10 more commits than Alabama, and the Crimson Tide are right there with them, meaning they are recruiting at an elite level right now, and I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.